Hello, today I have gathered all three of you here to talk about Attack on Titan. I'm just holding my copy of Volume 34, the extra thickness of it. The final episode aired like at the beginning of this month, and peak fiction is all I'll say. I have followed the manga from about 2016, I want to say. I think we were on about chapter 74, I believe. It was just the start of the Return to Shiganshina arc, and I was about, that was 2016, so I was like 14 at the time, and I've been following it ever since. I remember me reading the manga on the school bus around, it was sort of around that time, just before maybe 2015, 2014, that I actually watched Attack on Titan, the anime, when I got into anime, when I was like 13, 14, once again. And I love it. Anyway, like I said, it's had an absolute massive impact on me. I don't actually really own any like merch or figures. I basically have like all the manga, all that's currently on Blu-ray/DVD, and some random things. Like, I think I have a colorized thing, I have Spoof on Titan, some of the spin-offs like Levi's Backstory and Lost Girls, and I have some random trading cards and a mini Mikasa plushie. And it used to be, my keyring for my school locker keys used to be like, hold on 2 seconds, my locker keys for school used to be this. Got all the different emblems for, yeah. It's also covered in chewing gum because chewing gum got sticky in my pocket and got covered. I tried my best to clean it. It had a massive impact on the things that I would draw. So this is my art book from 2016, and I know exactly where I was when I drew this. This is when chapter 82 dropped, and I drew Armin with a little halo on, with the Sing for Reluctant Heroes song lyrics in the background, and the hashtag still breathing, hashtag save Armin 2K16, and hashtag he has been saved when the next chapter dropped, and he lived. But I know exactly where I was. I was in the year 9 geography class, and I sat there drawing while we had some film playing, because that's what I did. There's also there's a few other Attack on Titan things, I think, in this specific. Oh, I was practicing eyes, god. And my art was kind of cute though, not gonna lie. I like that character, I should bring it back. Oh no, the Pokemon Go fan out. No. I swear there was a decent one in here of Petra, I believe. Yes! I drew Petra. I still like this picture. She's not doing the salute because I can't draw hands, and also I was like 14 at the time. She's still like one of my favourite characters, and I wish like, random Mikasa, but it's just her head. I think the best thing I ever drew from Attack on Titan was during my GCSE art. And you had to like sort of copy things, copy artists, and this was one of the pictures I copied, which is Agnes Cecile, you know, nice normal artist. And then I thought, you know, I'm going to choose something that I really want to draw, and I went Attack on Titan, and I drew that, and I still think that I did an incredible job. That's my version there, and then there's my print. Move. That's the printed one there. And I think I did a good job. I chose that one because I have been an Aru Annie shipper for the past, you know, a long time, since season 1. And I wrote, that's my little thing about Hajime Isayama. I chose this panel from chapter 23 of Shingeki no Kyojin because of Isayama's use of perspective to convey the fear and confusion in this scene. I mean, it's one of my favourite panels. And then I chose, oh god, sorry. Chose this one as well. It was around sort of, when was this, 2018, when all this sort of stuff happened. And yeah, Mixer's got a much bigger bum in my version. she's kind of packing, but I think I did a really good job. I chose this panel from chapter 85 of Shingeki no Kyojin because of Isayama's use of contrast between this panel and the previous to show the character's feelings towards the past. It is also wonderfully drawn. Yeah, I should have. Now I kind of slayed this, to be honest. Wait, where's my other one? I did another one. Oh, did this one as well. It's not my favourite, kind of boring. I couldn't figure. I'm sure had I done this in say 2020 instead of 2018, there would have been a hell of a lot more interesting panels that would have, you know. Oh, I didn't use pen for this one. I thought I used pen for the other two. I chose this panel from chapter 95 of Shingeki no Kyojin because of Isayama's use of perspective to show the vast size and power of the Titan. This is also shown by how this panel takes up 2 full pages of the manga. Yeah, that's not like my favourite panel, I just thought it was like an easy, coolish one to draw. But the other two are definitely some of my... Oh, and then I also started drawing seiyus and stuff. Oh yeah, and I drew some random Mikasa cosplayer. I don't even remember who it is, but my art teacher was like, you need to do something that's in pencil rather than in coloured pencil. So I did like, probably can't see it because it's so faint, but because it's faded, it's gone onto the other side of the page, but I just drew, this is Yoshino Nanjo from Ripside, and that's it. I don't know. And then, sorry, I'm just going off on a tangent, but like, I started trying to like combine the... I have not looked at this in years. You know, I wasn't that bad. Because... and I tried to combine like both of them. You probably couldn't even see that, there you go. That's enough of me talking. I'm here to bring you my Trolls notebook. Once again, I made some notes about my thoughts. La 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 la. Right, this also has my Hunger Games comparison in it and my Sims 4 family tree. Yeah, if you haven't watched my Hunger Games and Attack on Titan comparison video, it's terrible, but I would appreciate if you watched it. This is so full of just random things. Okay, the ending. Here we go, my notes. Okay, point 1, the ending. I love it. I loved it in the manga. I loved it in the anime. Personally, I am always team read everything, watch everything. I don't like to compare the manga versus the anime in any sort of that one's better, this one's better. They all handle things completely different, well, not completely differently, but they all have their own version of things, and sometimes the manga will be better, sometimes the anime will be better, and I don't think it's fair to say one's better than the other. In my opinion, like, if you enjoy a series, just love all of it. Like, the Hunger Games movies are good, the Hunger Games books are good. Put them together, fantastic. Anyway, I did really appreciate the clarification between Armin and Erin's conversation in the paths. And, like, so I don't know exactly how to explain this, but there was a lot of, like, interpretation of what Erin's motives are, and I appreciate sort of like the clarification. I don't know if it's much different in the manga. I will check in a minute because I forget and it's all merged into one now. Where he sort of, you think, oh, he's done this out of love for his friends, trying to find a perfect, you know, the best solution that will keep them alive, and chooses to sacrifice the world to protect them. But at the same time, he says that he doesn't really truly believe that that's why he was doing it, and that he just fooled himself into thinking that that was his reason, and that there was another part of him that just wanted to flatten the world. And, you know, I think that was really good because it's very in character for Eren. And I know people moaned and moaned that, like, Isayama had ruined Eren's character in the last chapter or the last volume or whatever. And I don't think that's true. I think Eren has always been a very destructive character, but he has always sort of fooled himself into thinking that he is doing things for the right, that he is in the right, he is the hero. But in reality, he has, like, a massive, massive death toll, even up to, like, before even starting the rumbling. Like, you never really see him sort of have much remorse until we get, like, sort of the flashbacks of him apologising to the child. But that still doesn't stop him from doing what he does. Like, he still goes ahead and does it anyway. And also the whole thing, if he basically ends up being a slave, kind of like, you know, he's backed into a corner and he ends up basically being a slave to himself as soon as he discovers the Founder's powers, and he ends up not being able to change anything. He ends up with less freedom. Someone said in his desire for freedom he ends up losing it completely, and I think that is very poetic. And also Someone wrote a whole university thesis on Eren Yeager having antisocial personality disorder, which is colloquially and incorrectly known as sociopathy. And thing is, having antisocial personality disorder does not mean you are a sociopath, but it does mean you have a more complicated relationship with remorse and empathy. And I would say Eren Yeager definitely has a complicated relationship with remorse and empathy. And I just thought that sort of conversation between Eren and Armin was really good there in the anime specifically, when, you know, talking about like he tells himself this, but in reality he just wanted to kill everyone. And you know, I think that sort of depth was coming in Lost Girls. The Mirror Man, what's he called, basically talks about like Eren's always going to end up dead. He's you know, a very destructive person. Yeah, I don't know how to word this. When I talk so much, I think I inhale too much air. And okay. Anyway, I really love the part of the ending where it's Ymir and Mikasa, and how Ymir's curse, what her curse actually was, and how it was broken. There are lots and lots of different interpretations of exactly what the curse was, how Mikasa broke it. In my opinion, in my initial interpretation of this, is it's letting go of love and getting out of what is a toxic relationship. For Ymir, hers was unquestionably toxic. She was a slave, she was abused, she couldn't even speak, for crying out loud, but she still died trying to get his approval, and she spent the next 2,000 years still trying to get his approval. And she just could not let go. She was not able in that moment when the spear was thrown to allow this man that was mistreating her, but that she still loved, to let him die. She chose to die herself rather than to let him die. And Mikasa does the opposite. She realizes that she has to let go of Eren, and she has to let the man that she loves die. And she does it herself. And in that, she breaks the cycle. You know, she does what Ymir was never able to do and kills him, lets him die. And she frees herself from constantly wanting that approval. I'm sure there are people who are therapists and people with bigger brains that are able to word that a lot better than I can. There's also another interpretation is to do with like mother's love, etc. You know, because you have that final panel. I'm just gonna have a little quick look in the manga, see if I can find it. If not, I'll just like, oh, so good. Sorry. Oh no, I'm looking at the bloody wrong end of it, aren't I? Bloody idiot. It's sort of, it's just a picture of Ymir and Krista. But that's not what I was looking for, but it'll do. And about breaking the cycle, not just of this abusive love, this toxic love, but of the whole child having to eat their parent, allowing children to be born and also be born free, which is what Eren wanted. In a strange way, it ends up allowing freedom. This Ymir here is free. She doesn't have to eat Historia when she's older. She is allowed to be whatever she wants to be. She is not changed. She's not chained to Ymir's curse anymore. She's not going to be stuck in a loop. And in the same... Oh god. Here it is. Yeah, there it is. It's the page before of Ymir hugging her daughters while Fritz is dead. You can see that there. And so Ymir, by allowing him to die, which is Mikasa killing Eren, allows herself to love her children and to not doom her children into this cycle of death and eating her. And having their children eating them. She breaks their cycle of, you know, eating people. It's, I don't know quite how to word it, but like, and people said, oh no, it's about choosing, you know, mother and child bond over romantic love or whatever, and I just think, not entirely, but I think it's definitely indicative of breaking that cycle and allowing these children to be free and not chained to the Curse of the Titans for the rest of their life and the rest of their children's life. And Eren talks about that to Historia, I think. Talks about he doesn't want her and her children to end up in this cycle forever. He doesn't want her to doom her to that. And yeah, oh my god, I'm only on like 2.2 of everything I've written in here. Anyway, in another one of my humble opinions on Attack on Titan and the ending, the tree scene at the end, where the tree grows and you see old Mikasa and everything. In my very humble opinion, that is completely up to interpretation, I believe that is Jean and Mikasa. In my very humble opinion, I believe there is no one that Mikasa could actually end up with other than Jean. And also Jean and Reiner are like Isayama's like favourite characters, so if anyone's gonna get the girl, I think it's Jean. I just think Mikasa has so much emotional baggage, and I don't think there is any other, I don't think she could be like Historia and just marry some random farmer. There is too much emotional baggage, too much attachment to Eren for her to get with someone that would not understand that. Jean would understand that. Jean and Armin are like the only two men that would understand that, and Armin's tied up with his own, you know. So I think it's Jean, and I do not understand, especially how people think that the guy is Armin, looks nothing like Armin. Armin is very blonde, his hair is not like that, and people seem to be in the interpretation that that is not Mikasa's child, that is Armin's child. It has black hair. Who's Armin's love interest? Oh, another blonde. And they seem to think that this is Mikasa's adopted child. Yes, her adopted child that looks exactly like her is a baby and is, you know, with a man, woman and baby, and you immediately think, must be adopted. That's called stretching. Like, if they wanted to show that Mikasa was adopting kids, I think Isayama would have made that a lot less vague and would have maybe had her at the orphanage with Historia, but no, she's at a tree with a man, which, you know, and a baby, and you think, does that look like a nuclear family to me? But no, people have to stretch. And also, people seem to think that Mikasa died a virgin. And in the anime, it is even more clarified. She has a wedding ring on when she's dead. And people will say, oh no, she's married to Eren. The scarf is her wedding ring to Eren. She doesn't need an actual ring. Like, I don't know. And also people are like, she's surrounded by white lilies. Those are not lilies. Please go outside and touch grass. They are carnations, and they're not even white. They're like pastel blue and pink. Like, I don't get it. And look, I'll even check in the manga. I swear, they are not even lilies. Also, like, how can you see that panel and then go to thinking that this must not be a husband, this must not be her child, this is just some random guy, and this is an adopted child that happens to look exactly like them? I don't know. I don't get it. Oh, and these people here, they're no relation either, you know. Like, I don't get it. In the manga, you cannot actually see if they're... Okay, there might be one lily, but it's mainly just roses or carnations. Like, flowers can just be flowers. In fact, those are probably the purple flowers that are always seen in things. Like, I feel like if Isayama wanted to imply that Mikasa had died a virgin, she adopted children, he would have made it a little bit more obvious. Like, I don't know, I feel like people are just avoiding all context, avoiding all subtext, just put in their own little idea of what have happened. So yeah, that kind of to me, but yeah. The one thing I do also appreciate is the clarification on who Emir's father is, because she looks nothing like Eren. You know, I wasn't totally against that, but yeah. Oh yeah, my next section is clarification on Eren's character, but I have already kind of talked about that, and I did talk about it in my Hunger Games video. He's kind of like an active character that is forced to be reactive. Like I said, he loses all his freedom, and yeah, and I appreciate that he admits to wanting to destroy shit. And he's always dreamed of this vast, empty world to reclaim, and reality did not reflect that, so he just wanted to, didn't he? He wanted to flatten it, and he got what he wanted. but was it really what he wanted in the end? I don't know. However, one of my strange revelations when thinking about the ending too hard was the cabin scene and the whole Mikasa's choice aspect of what are you to me? Family. And Eren basically says to her, if you hadn't said family, I wouldn't have destroyed the world. And I think, oh, you're a bit of an asshole. Like, he basically, I don't know if it's intentional or unintentional, but he blames Mikasa for the rumbling because, like, he basically says, well, if you hadn't said family, we would have run away together. We'd live in peace, and I wouldn't have destroyed the world. But he doesn't say it explicitly. But when you think about it too hard, you go, oh, you just realize what you just said, mate? You're kind of saying it's her fault. Like, so I feel like she's going to feel incredibly guilty for the rest of her life, and that's why I think good idea she moves on. Because my Eren hater era, I don't hate Eren, I just think, yeah, he did not think what he just said through. He's hurt her again without even realising it, and I don't think she realises it. She's probably gonna sit there and go, oh my god, what? One day, and then like move on. So good for her. One thing I've always loved about Attack on Titan is the relationships in it, because they feel so realistic and so messy. In a lot of anime, things are very cut and dry, if you know what I mean. They're in romantic love, they smooched, ooh, they love each other, you know, there's no sort of ambiguity. In Attack on Titan, like, the main cast here, nice picture of them, they all love each other, but how they love each other is always up to interpretation, like, but in the world of Attack on Titan, it doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter whether they have romantic feelings for one another, whether, like, familial love, brotherly love, anything. All that matters is that they care for each other, and I think that's really nice to see. And I like how the enemies become friends, and how Attack on Titan is basically a story of de-radicalization. How you have characters like Gabi and Eren, though Eren kind of goes up the, you know, you have characters like Gabi who is literally radicalized. She is an extremist. She believes all these horrible things about people, and then she is forced into an environment showing her beliefs are incorrect and is forced to reprogram herself, and that is a really powerful message that somehow people still don't understand. And yeah, anyway. Enemies becoming friends, brilliant story of de-radicalization, and how important it is for us all to understand each other and to stop with the us versus them. I could really go into more politics, but I shouldn't. Basically, it's a very poignant story in terms of understanding each other and ending the cycle of violence. It's almost like that's the point. Anyway, there's also, like I said, I've shipped Aru Annie since season 1. I think they are a beautiful pairing. I would love to see more about them, but I doubt we ever will. I wish there'd been a little bit more clarification, but at the same time, that's Attack on Titan for you. You don't get clarification, and that's kind of what makes it good. Another ship that I've also liked since season 1 is Levi and Petra, which is, I guess, somewhat controversial. But regardless of whether you actually ship them or not, I think the little sub-story between, or at least Petra's little sub-story, of her basically having unrequited feelings, well, we don't know if they're unrequited or not, but either way, she has feelings for Levi, but she puts them aside to focus on her duty, ultimately gets killed. She has a whole character song in which she nearly confesses to Levi and then decides, nah, duty, and basically pins all her hopes on humanity on him, and it just adds this little bit of depth into the background and makes me cry. Because I just think Levi was probably very aware that she had a little schoolgirl crush on him, and I just think, like, Jesus Christ, that must, like, the guilt of knowing that, and then her father comes out and says all this stuff about her getting married, and he's just like, oh, and it just gets me. It's like a beautiful little tragic little sub story just layered in there, and I think, Jesus Christ, there's a lot of like the background relationships in AOT just really good things. Like I don't know, like the world building of AOT has always felt so good, so layered, so deep. Like everything feels very thought through, and the characters, it feels like a proper world. It's not just everyone exists in a sphere and the main character. They've all had lives this entire time. Like, and that's something that the Petra thing kind of, you know, makes me feel. Yeah. Also, another one of my favourite relationships, not a ship necessarily, but just a beautiful moment is Jaune and Connie putting their arms around each other and like accepting their death. And that just, oh, it wasn't quite as emotional in the anime as it was in the book, because you sort of suddenly have that, I don't know why. It's actually a lot smaller of a panel here in the manga than it is in the anime, so I appreciate that it became a full screen thing, but it's just they just immediately kind of ooh. Why is it that scene? Thing is, like, when you read it something as a manga rather than an anime, you have a month wait between the end of the chapter and the next chapter, at least with Attack on Titan, because it was a monthly release. So we had a month of believing they had all died. A month of that. Of thinking that was it. Whereas in the anime, it kind of resolves fairly quickly, and you don't have that emotional sort of build up when they are finally not dead. So it feels kind of. Although another thing I like about the characters is that they are the main cast. Aside from Eren, they are not fighters. They are normal people. Jaune never wanted to fight. Jaune just wanted a cushy life, but his life experience, like, they gave him morals. Same with Connie. I wouldn't say Connie and Sasha are weird because they're sort of fighters, but at the same time, they've never really been driven by this larger goal. They're just kind of there to, you know, maybe make a difference in a small scheme of thing, but they end up getting dragged into this big thing. But none of these characters really set out to save the world, apart from Eren, and I wonder what he ends up doing. Oh, he destroys it. Anyway, yeah, it's also Armin, Annie, and Mikasa also never really being fighters. Especially Annie, like, she just straight up stops fighting until she realised she's also developed morals and has to go insane. Like, she spent her entire, like, life trying to just shut emotion out, and she realises sort of that she can't anymore, and, oh, I'd love to see more about Annie and Armin specifically. She has a lot of thoughts, and she never really gets to express them because she pushes them aside and doesn't speak about them. Mikasa isn't, like, Armin's very obviously not a fighter. He's always been a thinker, and that's why he saves humanity, because he's got emotions and thoughts and kindness and hope. Mikasa ends up being a fighter because of Eren, but personality-wise, like, once this is all over, does she stay with them and try and save the world? No, she has to go and deal with her trauma, okay? She's got a lot of baggage to unpack. She's gonna live there, under that tree, wherever she lives, near the tree, and have her nice little cottagecore life with her husband and her babies, okay? She gonna have a nice time, and good for her. She deserves it. She was plunged into a world of destructiveness. She was saved and also killed at the same time. Anyway, of course, like I said, manga versus anime, one thing that also comes up is WIP versus MAPPA, and I actually really like the contrast between the art styles and everything. I feel like it creates so much contrast, which really fits for the tone shift, and like it's the same with the opening songs and everything, how it goes from being really patriotic to just help us at the end. It goes from being like sad, like really happy and like, yeah, we got this, to oh my god at the end. It's like the tone shift works. Like season 1 feels so much more typically anime, so much typically more shonen, and it has a lot of anime BS. Like, it does. Like, why do the girls have lipstick? I don't know. Why does Annie start blushing? I don't know. I'm gonna blame it on Armin and that she's blushing because her cover was blown because she couldn't kill Armin because he's so cute. Anyway, that's my fan theory, but it's, you know, season 1 has such a different tone compared to the final bit, but also doesn't, it also has, season 1's still dark, but it takes a lot more, especially like, it's still dark and it's still gruesome, but it has very much more dark shonen rather than Attack on Titan vibes, if you know what I mean. It's a lot more stereotypical anime. So the tone shift, especially when it shifts to the Mappa art style, it's very fitting in my opinion. It goes from being a regular shonen type thing, the art style morphs with the story, which I think is really beautiful. And that's pretty much all I've written on here. Oh my god, I've actually got through my notes. Oh, what do I think now? Attack on Titan slaps, that's all I'll say. I'm excited to see Levi's little story. It's not the character I would actually... No, I suppose I do want to see more about Levi, but at the same time, I do more want to see more about Armin and Annie and whatever happens between those two. I've read too much fanfiction, and everyone has such different interpretations of things. It's very, well, not different. Everyone has like similar ones that I've read, and I like it. It's good. Some people are incredibly talented, and I cannot believe they just do that for free. But yeah, Attack on Titan is a beautiful story, and it upsets me a bit that people misinterpret it so badly. Like, it's literally about de-radicalization and breaking the cycle of hatred, but it will be forever misinterpreted because media literacy and people. The thing is, it's not just people that hate Attack on Titan that misinterpret it. There are also fans that misinterpret it as well. Like, in my opinion, Attack on Titan does a great job at illustrating how there are no good people in war. You're all murderers. You're either a murderer or, you know, a war criminal or whatever, or a victim. There are no good people. Armin says this several times himself. There are no... You have to abandon your humanity, you know? And, no, people seem to think, oh, there's no bad people. And it's like, no, wrong. You're getting it, but not quite. You need to... There's no good people. There are plenty of bad people. Everyone's bad to someone, just as everyone's good to someone, which is Aruani. And yeah, I could go on and on. I should not. And also it's really cold in here. And I need to put my art books back. I haven't looked at these in like years. Drawing stuff in coloured pencil was a mistake, but also it looks good. Yeah. I don't have a favourite character except I sort of do. It's probably like Armin, to be honest. And Mikasa with the short hair. Ooh. Girl deserves happiness, and I do not like how people want to condemn her to misery. She deserves to find love, she deserves to find happiness, and she deserves to have a family and a husband that treats her well. She does not deserve to be miserable over Eren forever, a man who literally blames her for the rumbling. So toast to happiness.